Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is meeting virtually this hour with premiers to discuss the next steps in Canada's response to the U.S. tariff threat. This will be the first time they have met since U.S. President Donald Trump paused the trade levy for 30 days. Today's talks are expected to focus on meeting Trump's top demand of increasing border security and on lowering trade barriers between provinces. Well, Canadians are, of course, watching the increasing fallout to these tariffs despite the 30-day respite. Travelers who have booked their trips down south may be mulling over rescheduling or canceling their trip altogether. So for more on this, we've reached Amra Durakovic. She is with Flight Centre Travel Group. Amra, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Arti.
So now you're typically, your company is at the office in Toronto, but today we've reached you in Burlington, Ontario, and you're visiting your local travel offices because you want to hear from customers. What are they saying to you?
What I'm hearing is a lot of emotion right now. If you look at the fact that we have the weakest dollar in 4 years, and then add on top of that the tariffs, they're just feeling a lot of betrayal, and really what they've shared with me is broken trust. So already knowing that affordability is really difficult, and it's a very important concern when Canadians are choosing their destinations of where they're traveling to, they're deciding with their dollars where they're going, and it's anywhere but the US right now.
Okay, so in terms of the travel trends then, if people are canceling their trips to the US, what does that typically look like? And how has that shifted over the past week or so?
It's important for me to point out that regardless of if you have insurance or not, you're still going to pay for a rebooking fee or a cancellation fee. However, what we have noticed is that Canadians are still paying for that. They're not really sort of batting an eye at these fees because at the moment they just are choosing to spend their tourism dollars elsewhere. So what we're seeing are destinations like Antigua, Portugal is a very popular destination, Mexico, as well as anywhere in the Caribbean. It's important right now that we also have a cruise sales happening. So we're noticing a shift from cruises that port in the US. Now Canadians are choosing Mediterranean cruises.
Is this something that you've ever seen before? Because it seems like a very emotional, to your point that you were saying, how people are coming in and speaking to you about their travel desires right now. It's a very emotional, visceral reaction that will go anywhere. We'll even pay more to not go to the US. Have you ever seen a reaction like that before? How unique is it?
Personally haven't seen this. I've only been with the company for 18 months now. So this is something that I have not seen, to be honest. However, speaking with the travel experts here, they have told me when governments shift, sometimes there is a different sentiment, but I believe this is unlike anything we've ever seen, where Canadians are really standing together in solidarity, and they're sort of responding to these tariffs by not traveling to the US. It's also important for me to point out that our top 3 destinations, according to our booking insights at Flight Centre Travel Group, are Mexico, followed by Canada and the US. So there's definitely deep ties between our 3 nations. So this is just something that's really broken a lot of trust between Canadians and right now the US administration.
So we certainly know, of course, there's that resentment, the breakdown of trust as well, as you've pointed out. But what about the Canadian dollar? It is pricier to travel to the United States right now, too. How much is that weighing into customers' decisions?
We noticed this shift in November. So as soon as the dollar started to drop, we have noticed a shift. So where we've been sending Canadians now, you might find this surprising, but Japan is a popular destination, especially for snowbirds and winter travelers. They have great ski slopes, and our dollar is really strong against the yen. We also are sending a lot of Canadians to Southeast Asia. While it might be a trek to get to Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, or Vietnam, once you're there, it's really affordable, and it's such a beautiful destination to travel to as well. Other destinations where the dollar holds up strongly is Korea, South Korea, as well as Australia and South Africa. And if you want sun, we're highly recommending that you go to places like Brazil, Colombia, and Argentina, where again, our Canadian dollar holds up very strongly.
And finally, I know you've touched on some of this, but I'm wondering what tips you might have for Canadians who are thinking, hey, you know what? I don't want to go to the US right now.
So if you are booked, let's say an all-inclusive or even a cruise, pay everything up front, even for your gratuity. If you pay in Canadian dollars, you don't have to worry about the currency exchange. That's one tip. A second tip is book in advance. If you're looking for a deal, I strongly recommend that you come to a travel expert anywhere between 3 to 6 months, depending on where you want to go. The more long haul of a destination, definitely 6 months, as well as consider shoulder season. I recently had one of our travel experts do a cost comparison between traveling from Toronto to Amsterdam during peak summer travel season versus shoulder season, so October. It was a 15% difference in cost. That's $1,000 per couple, including airfare, accommodation, and airport transfer. So these would be our top tips if you're really looking to ensure that you can maximize your dollar whilst traveling.
Lots of interesting information there. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much, Artie.
That was Amra Durakovic in Burlington, Ontario. Thank you for joining us.